Okay, so welcome to Learning Design Masterminds. This podcast bridges the worlds of instructional design and project management. I'm your host, Sherry Conklin, and I am our co-host, Daisy Pareto. And
You did it.
Did it. And I'm thrilled to be your guide as we explore this exciting intersection of these two dynamic fields. So in each episode, we'll explore the latest trends, case studies, and practical tips from professionals in the field that can help you deliver exceptional learning experiences while keeping your projects on time. So here with us today is Amy, who is an MIT alum, and she's currently employed at Krispy Kreme. So when we think of being an instructional designer, we often think that we're just going in to develop training and that's it. But there's a lot of other skills that we use, such as project management skills. Could you start off with telling us how often do you use project management skills, and tell us some of your experiences?
Yeah, so you might be surprised to hear that in my time at Krispy Kreme, so I interned with Krispy Kreme and then worked for Sunbelt Rentals for a little over a year and then came back to Krispy Kreme. I have yet to design or develop any training at Krispy Kreme. Everything I have done has been something in the realm of project management. So in terms of project management, every single day, I mean, there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not doing something that isn't related to a large scale, making sure that deliverables are, we're meeting deadlines and milestones. So it's a huge part of my day. So yeah, every single day.
Do you all use the more traditional waterfall approach, or do you use more agile methods, or a blend?
I would say it's a blend. We might start out with something overall, but deadlines shift, and especially at Krispy Kreme, things are changing so rapidly that sometimes from week to week, a project may change pretty drastically as to what is required and what needs to be added to it. We're working on currently right now rewriting all the role-based training for the United States, and it seems like every week a little something else is being added to it. So I would say it's definitely definitely agile versus waterfall. Yeah.
And so with that, would you describe yourself more as the project manager, or are you on the team, or is it a combination?
So at Krispy Kreme, I'm more on the team. When I worked at Sunbelt, I was the project manager for my projects. But at Krispy Kreme, right now, due to what we are working on and the large scale of it, um, we've actually we have a project manager who runs our projects for us that we're working on currently. And then it's our job to make sure that we're meeting the deadlines that need to be, the deliverables, that we are getting feedback, and SOPs are, we're getting things from subject matter experts on time so that they can then be used in a timely manner. So more team-based this time.
Okay. Do you all use work breakdown structures?
Yes. Yes.
And do
So,
you develop any of those, or are they done by the project manager?
well, right now, Krispy Kreme, what we have has been done by the project manager. I can tell you more about how I use them at Sunbelt, if that helps, since that
Yes.
was a little more me doing the work. So yes, definitely, I would create a deliverable-based project plan, and I did use a work breakdown structure to do that. I laid it out according to Addie, starting with an analysis, trying to figure out what my deliverables were going to be for each piece of the project. I know that, in grad school, it was very like specific, like, develop your objectives, do this, do this, this. What I do is a little more broad, maybe more, during this phase, have I need to create a PowerPoint. I need to determine how many job aids I'm going to create. And so it's a little broader, but it is still, I do still break it down so that I know exactly what I need to do when. And also I also broke it down by which member of the team was developing what. So we kind of did a work breakdown, racy mesh. So I could see who was responsible for what, and then put timelines and deadlines on everything. But and then I often, for myself, would then take any deliverables that I needed to create. Once I figured out what my work breakdown was, I often put that into a Gantt chart just so I could visually see how long it was going to take me to get everything done. And that way there I could adjust timelines if needed, if it looked like, I wasn't going to make it. So if we had a certain date that we had to achieve, I had to have everything achieved by, I could back it up, depending on what it was.
Are you using specific softwares?
No, usually we just use an Excel sheet for that. Although I am currently learning how to use Smartsheet so that I can use Smartsheet at Krispy Kreme. So we do use Smartsheet there, and usually the project managers at Krispy Kreme are the only people with Smartsheet access as far as like creating Smartsheets. So, but so I now have an account, so I'm learning how to do it and stuff. So yeah, lots of training, always learning something new.
Training's great. That keeps us all going.
Yeah.
What are some general warning signs that a project may not turn out successful? Have you encountered that?
Yes. Usually it has to do with the subject matter expert that you're working with, quite frankly. People not returning things to you on time. You set a deadline and I need you to review this and give me feedback by this date. And that date comes and goes and you don't hear anything and you follow up and you follow up. And usually that's when that starts happening, you have to start being a little aggressive because you get too far behind and you're not going to make your deadline. So I think that's usually the biggest indicator when
This is probably a good segue into this question. Maybe you have a story or something. How do you end up navigating these types of politics and managing to ensure these projects are successful?
So when I'm managing a project, if a deadline is coming up, I always send email reminders out to remind people, hey, I need your feedback by such and such a date. We are going to be moving forward. I need you to let me know if you're not going to make that date. If you need more time, I can absolutely accommodate give you a little more time. So I try to always keep communication open. I find that if people get busy and they forget that they are supposed to be reviewing something or getting back to you with the information that you need. So I found that communicating helps prevent that. However, there's always, I have had people that have just said to me, well, I just don't have time and I need another week. And I have had to say, I'm really sorry, but I can't give you another week. Everyone else has given their feedback. Everyone else has given their input. I've given you an extra 3 days. That's the best I can do. And if, I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to move on without your input. And sometimes you have to do that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Do you have any good stories about some victories and disasters? Drawing from all your experiences?
Mm-hmm. I found, honestly, for me, what has made me good at getting projects moving along and getting people to do their part is before a project meeting. And generally, you don't have very much time, 30 minutes to an hour, maybe once a week. Going in and highlighting exactly what I'm going to cover in the meeting. So I always spend time ahead of time going through maybe 30 minutes and walking through, okay, like what deadlines do we have coming up? You know, what milestones are we needing to achieve in the next couple of days? So I highlight those first, and then I send out an email to the team with the project plan linked and just say, hey, everything that's highlighted in here is what we're going to talk about on Wednesday morning when we get together. Please take 10 minutes to add your notes. And I always have a note section in there. Add your notes, any thoughts that you have about where you are with your piece of the project before we meet. That way there we can keep the meeting running. And then we mark things as complete, incomplete, and if somebody's not doing what they need to do, we mark it with a red block. And people don't like it when a red block appears next to their name, as you know, they're holding the project up. So oftentimes that's enough to get people moving. Just realizing that visually everyone can see that, you know, so and so didn't do what they were supposed to do this week, and so now we're all behind. So that for me has worked really well so far.
That's just a different type of communication, nonverbal communication, I would say, right?
Yes, I would say so. Yeah, nobody likes to open up a project plan and see a big red block next to their name. That's just it's never a good thing.
So I don't know if you remember in MIT 520, which is a project management course, I had one module dedicated to communication, but I kept harping on it a little bit, that it's very essential. Can you elaborate whether or not, like out in the field, is this 80% of working on a team? Is this?
I would say yes. Yeah, I would say, yeah, almost. You have to be in constant communication with the team that you're working with, whether you're in person or virtual or, you know, combination of both. There's usually a daily or a weekly update as to what's going on. I know right now with the role-based training that we're doing for Krispy Kreme, we actually contracted with a small firm that is developing the training. We have provided everything to them, and they're doing the development because quite it's so much, and there's so much on our plates right now that we couldn't possibly get everything done that needed to be done this year. So we did contract out, and that has been really interesting because it has required a lot of communication, because things that in our minds as a team that we want to have happen maybe they're not what the company that we're working with, they're not necessarily how they design and develop. So we found out very, very quickly that communication was going to be key in terms of, you know, what are expectations, what do we want things to look like. You know, you don't think about fonts being important to the success of a project, but something as small as using the wrong font across 10 different storyline files is huge in terms of time. So we've had communication has been really key. In fact, I was talking to one of my teammates this morning because we were reviewing some work, some storyline files that we're getting ready to load into the LMS right now. And sometimes what, you know, with numbers, they're spelled out, and then sometimes like the actual physical number was used, and that consistency, not having it's a waste. It's time waste, and it's money. And so, you know, we talked about we need to sit down and write out some oh gosh, I lost my words, standards for how certain things need to be, so that, you know, again, that communication, always sharing information, because it holds projects up. Yeah.
So yeah, well, and I think another question was like building these relationships with vendors. Like, do you feel that you all have to build this relationship now with this new development company?
So they came, we meet with them weekly, and then at the very beginning, they came to Charlotte and we met with them 2 days in person so that they could fully understand our culture and how the company works. And then they flew out another time and spent a day in a shop just observing all the roles that happen in a donut shop, so that as they were developing the training that we were um, putting together, they would they would have a better understanding of everything. So yeah, that relationship is huge. And same thing with we're in the middle of launching we just finished launching a new LMS also, which is why things are a little crazy right now, to be honest with you. So we've got that vendor that we're working with also. So I think in 2 or 3 weeks, both vendors are coming to Charlotte so that all three teams can be together to talk about some of the integrations that need to happen.
And I know you keep saying we. Can you describe like what your typical team is and who it consists of and what you all do?
Sure. We have our team, I would say, is fairly small. My team at Sunbelt was much larger. I think there were 8 of us all together. And then plus a delivery team, plus an implementation team, plus an LMS team. So I came from the company, when that team was all together, we were looking at probably 50 people easily. I am now on a team where we have the senior manager of L&D, and then there are 3 designers on the team, including me. And then we have a VP that kind of sits over us for learning and development. And then there are, for all of the US, 3 trainers. And they have one person that works for them for like scheduling, that sort of thing. So much, much, much smaller. And so the team that I'm on, my manager plus the 2 other designers, we do everything. So we run the LMS, we've built the LMS, and that in itself is very challenging when you are running the back end of how your whole company is functioning. So from everybody in the field to people in the support center. So yeah, so to go from a team of 50 to a team of, I don't know, maybe 10 has been a big change.
And on in Sunbelt, like the implementation team and the development team, were there instructional designers sprinkled throughout all of those teams? And then
nope, there were not. Yeah. Dr. Brito, did you have a question? I saw your hand go up.
Yes. So my question to you, Amy, was like, as I was hearing you talking about, especially the LMS, and when you're talking about the team, I wanted just to maybe clarify do you have an LMS administrator, or you all as instructional designer functioning that role of being some sort of like LMS administrator? And can you kind of like describe that? Because we also have a class that is focusing on LMS, and a lot of like students sometimes wanted to know how an instructional designer can also be that, and how those roles can merge sometime.
Yes. So at Sunbelt, we had a separate team, and we had an LMS team, and all they did was managed the LMS. Training was built. So I'm going to answer both questions at the same time. So on the implementation team, so at Sunbelt, the designers were on the design team, and then the implementation team was in charge of making sure that it got out to the field. The delivery team was in charge of delivering, and the LMS team was in charge of getting everything into the system. So very separate, but we function together. At Krispy Kreme, the designers are also the LMS team. So we do not have a separate LMS administrator. So it's challenging because obviously it's a different skill set. I think it's probably a little more techie than I like to be quite honest. I mean, there's a lot of like back end understanding how logic works in a system. So we rely really heavily on the company we work with is PlayerLink. So we rely very heavily on the person from PlayerLink that's helping us. So PlayerLink built the system specifically for Krispy Kreme, and they have guided us through how to get things loaded into the system so that we can push it out into the field in the way that we need to. I think, I'm hoping that moving forward that we're going to look at having a separate team or a separate LMS administrator, because honestly, it's very time consuming and it's very complicated, and sometimes we're not always sure how to do something. So we have to call and ask and say, hey, I meant for this to go to one group of people, but it went to 5 groups of people, and I'm not sure how to fix that. So yeah, it's definitely together right now. It's been an experience, that's for sure.
Definitely keep us posted if you have an LMS job posting.
Yes, for sure.
I think we're coming to the end of our time, but if there's any advice that you want to share with students who are coming out of the program, I think you were a former, was it elementary or high school teacher?
Elementary, yes.
And you did your internship with Krispy Kreme, and then you moved into Sunbelt, and now you're circling back. I mean, you're doing what you want. Such a success story. We're so proud of you. Do you have any advice for future graduates?
I found for me personally that the timing of my capstone and my internship was everything. It made all the difference because I was able to, and then also with taking 520 at the same time. So with my internship, I was able to learn and use project management at the same time, because that was one of the other things during my internship, is that I worked a lot on helping. Well, in my capstone, I created a work breakdown schedule. I was able to do a Gantt chart. I was able to practice everything that I had just learned with my capstone in a real life environment. And then also I was able to help with, they had really never laid everything out like that before in terms of a Gantt chart, in terms of like looking at roadmaps. So when you go into your internship, do it late enough in the program that you have enough understanding that you're able to bring something to the table and be open to learning. And if you're interested in going into corporate, absolutely take that plunge. I wasn't sure if I wanted to. Dr. Pareto said, oh, you just give it a try. And I'm so glad I did, because it's been a great change for me. I loved teaching, but I needed something a little different. I was ready, after 20 years in the classroom, I was ready to do something different. So, be open to experiences. And again, I think the timing is everything, to make sure that you've gotten enough under your belt so that you can then go into a corporate role and be able to contribute something to the team. When I went back for my interview at Krispy Kreme, one of the things that the VP that I work for now said that even as an intern, I brought a level of project management to the team that they hadn't really had before. And so that was exciting to hear that. So yeah,
I'm excited to hear that. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and we'll conclude this this episode of Learning Design Masterminds, and we want to thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me and asking me to participate. So it's an honor to be asked. So thank you.